Well, good morning, YouTube. Hi guys, Monday morning now. It's breezy, it's sunny, it's a beautiful day. It's a wee bit on the warmish side, but it's not bad at all. It stays like this, we're doing good. As you can see, we've already filled the lifts and we've got a small line, not a real big one, but we got a small line. Definitely a little bit slower of a morning today. As you see, the bike wash girls are all still in their clothes and no bikes to wash, but I'm sure that will change as the day goes on. All right, almost 11 a.m. We got two up, one in line, but it's one of those beautiful CVO STs. These bikes are gorgeous with the 121 motor. Got the Brembo brakes, radial calipers. So we've been a little bit slower this morning, but it's still been a kind of steady. They just keep coming in, which we're good. Looking back at last year's sales, this should still be a pretty good day. Not as busy as yesterday, but it still should be a really good day. The weather's beautiful. It's warm, but at least it's breezy. Looks like the outlook for the rest of the week may not be as favorable, but sometimes that changes out here. All right, guys, I just couldn't resist putting two of them up side by side, almost exact bikes. They both have some aftermarket stuff on them. They're done slightly different, but they're the same production type bike. You know, some of you may not know it's the 25th anniversary, I guess, for the CVO line. These both have 25 anniversary badges, and I believe it's also like 25th anniversary for Road Glide in general. I think 98 or 99 was the first year they did that or something. Don't quote me on that, but it's pretty close. Another cool feature on these motorcycles that Chip and I just realized is the CVO ST has a composite or a plastic drain pan on the bottom, and it's a quick release oil plug. There's no magnet in it, which I'm not real fond of that, but that's where those Figurati Designs magnetic dipsticks might come in handy that we've got for sale over there. But yeah, it's just like a quarter turn and then it releases, so it's kind of nice. And I guess if it's done right, you shouldn't need much for tools, but it's got a 3/8 like pipe plug type inside thing, so just the 3/8 extension goes into it. You don't actually need the socket. Ironic how things work out. Just moments ago we had the two STs matching on the lift, and then now the next batch of customers, two white and black Indians on the lift. Indian invasion again, guys. Indian invasion. 3 on the lift, 1 in line. I thought it meant as if we had 2 coming. Maybe there's another one getting ready to show up. If you look at that wind, guys, it is definitely breezy today. All right, guys, the Larry came back to visit.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so right now it's only about 1:15 in the afternoon. We've already got, well, if you count the two that are in line, 28 bikes through the system. It hasn't been a mad rush, just like yesterday, that slow, steady, they just keep coming in. We had 3 Indians all up there at the same time, all getting love jugs. Now I think everything that's up there at the moment is oil changes. Everything in line is oil changes. So all in all, pretty good day. It looks like Mike has been busy all day. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to go over there and talk to him yet. So I'm hoping that everything there is okay. I'm sure it is, because if it wasn't, he would have come over and said something to me. But so we'll touch real quick here. I mentioned in last night's video, we did get the new bike, and of course those pictures of Hunter were with my new bike. Absolutely loving this thing so far. It took me a minute to get used to the front fairing, but we'll go into more detail later. I just need to find a nice quiet spot to put it, and we'll get some more pictures of it, and I'll talk about the whole situation and what happened and how we ended up with this. Hopefully we'll do that later today in this video, but I can't promise that. Mike has been busy over here all day, but looks like he's got everything under control. I came over to help out, and he said I was as useless as tits on a pole. Hi guys, I hope the wind isn't too bad, but I'm back down here at Quad Lock, and we're going to get a Quad Lock mounting system put on the new bike so that I can charge the phone and get better camera angles for you guys while we're riding. Taller bars, lower windshield, we should be able to make this work better than we did on the Street King.
Channel's called Amsoil Adam, right?
Yes.
And you'll see Jared went ahead and swapped out.
All right, guys, I really want to thank Joe over at Quad Lock for hooking me up with this. He even gave me a mount to put in Goliath, because one of the issues I have with Goliath is we're going down the road and I'm recording for you guys, we'll hit bumps, and the magnet mount on the back of my old phone case will kind of rotate, and I've constantly got to correct it. With the Quad Lock, once it's in, it won't rotate, so I'm hoping that'll equal better footage for you guys. Now, the one I got has got the wireless charging, so there's a charger built into this base, designed to work with the case so that it charges the phone automatically when it's plugged in. I did not have them wire that. The way they wanted to do it was to take it to the USB port here in the fairing, and that's just not how I want it. I want to hardwire that in someplace clean and neat, but I'll most likely remove the fuel tank to do that, so I don't know that it's going to get done today. And I've still got my cord in here that I can charge with for the moment, but eventually when I figure out what I'm going to do with this, yeah. I also want to rotate these bars a little bit forward. They're a little bit too close to me, and the brake lever's pitched up a little too much. I believe there's a pin in there. I'm going to have to pull this cap off, grind the pin out so that I can then rotate them and then clamp them back down. All right, guys, and as I've got the bike up here in the lift, I'm just kind of giving it a once-over. I know it's a brand new bike. Chances are everything's fine, but I like to make sure, so I want to check the oil and all that stuff, because I will likely ride this thing hard. But also, I didn't tell you guys, but I started carrying a new product, a new style of dipstick by Figurati Designs, and they are just really, really beautiful units. But it's got a magnet in there to try to catch metal particles. And, well, the factory dipstick is I don't know, it's a dipstick. But I think this looks really nice, especially with all the black trim on this bike. I'm gonna go ahead and put one of these in there. We'll see if it catches any metal, especially on this braking oil that'll be in here for the next 500,000 miles. I'm checking it for accuracy as compared to the original one, and it's right on the money. We get into focus. There we go. Yep. So that's still a little bit lower than I like to run my oil, but it'll be fine for now. All right, guys, so I threw my very first custom part on there, and I got to tell you something. The fitment of this was way nicer than I expected. So the factory dipstick, when you get in there, you turn it, there's a certain level of resistance, like tightness, kind of gonna crank it down. Same thing coming out. I put that in there. Once I lined it up, I spun it and it spun in, and then I just snugged it. It is super nice. It was so impressive. I had to call Chip over to take a look at it, and I had him thread both of them in. And the second he put the Figurati Designs dipstick in there, he went, oh wow. It was just a huge difference. Very well made part. This is my first time using it, so this is my first impression. But I like the idea of having that magnet in there as well. Just one more spot that we can trap contaminants. And it looks really, really nice. And the fact that it's knurled, now they make them in a couple different styles, guys. We've got quite a few. So the one I used was the knurled one, which I got it in a polished as well. But they also make it in like a smooth, but with like little wings on it that you can actually grip. And they even come in these really nice cases. So I've got a few in stock, both for Milwaukee 8 engines and for the late model twin cams that have the screw-in dipstick. Not the push-in like the old ones like the Road King, but the screw-in type. And I'm telling you guys, I'm pretty impressed with these. First time I've carried them, I wanted oil-related things to kind of sell out here, and I really like it a lot.
And already, Adam has ripped apart his new bike and is grinding off pieces to his handlebars.
I know, maybe I'm a little bit crazy, you know, just buying a brand new bike and immediately take a cutoff wheel to it. But these bars weren't in a good position for me, guys. I got long arms, I'm 6'2". The way they were positioned, they were too close to my chest. I wanted them more like the Road King. Not only that, but if you look at the controls and the levers, with the bars back, the levers were actually pointed upwards, and that just made it awkward to reach out and grab it. I wanted them kind of downwards because the way I work. And I did not adjust the position of any of the controls on the bars. All I did is just take the bar, put it up a little bit, pull it back down. Yes, I had to grind that pin out of there that locates the bar, but you don't need that. Most motorcycles don't have that anyways. But now these levers are just about in a perfect spot. I can't wait to go ride it and see if it handles better. I know, and some of you may think I'm crazy because, I mean, I haven't even had it 24 hours yet and I've got it all ripped apart. Well, it's because I like to see how things work, guys. Remember, I'm a mechanic, I'm a technician, kind of like a shade tree engineer. And I wouldn't do this to a customer's bike without permission. So we've changed the oil on these. We've never really done anything else on it. So there's a lot to learn, a lot to do. And some things like, now they get the seat off. It comes with this strap over top of the seat, and they stitch it to look like the seat, and it's really pretty. But I don't plan on having passengers. I don't need the seat strap, so I'm gonna take it off. And I was just gonna undo the strap but I realized these brackets right here, they're chrome and it looks like they're just held on by 2 bolts. I don't really want the chrome on there, so I'm just going to go ahead and take the brackets completely off. I'll save in case I ever want to put them back on, but just want to figure out what's what in this and see the whole new design and what they've done, familiarize myself with it. All right, so I started to run the wire for the quad lock mounting system. I'm running it along the front brake line down into the cover that's over the top clamp and then down to the wires, but I'm looking at it and I don't think it's quite long enough to fish through and come out and have enough lead. So I'm not going to pull the tank and routing yet until I find a way to extend those. I don't have any suitable wire here at the moment without making it look kind of jerry-rigged, and I don't want to do that. I want it to be clean, want it to be neat, want it to be professional. So we're going to continue this project later. Guys, it's about 4:30, and of course I got my bike ripped apart. It was kind of slow, nothing happening. Guys have been rotating these lifts over here, but we just had 4 or 5 more bikes pull in, so we might end up getting back in the weeds one more time. All right, guys, so we are 1 week in with like 8 days. We started last Monday, and it's Monday, almost at the end of the day now, so I guess that's 8 business days. And you see we've got that drum just about topped off. I don't know we're gonna fit more. The guy can't bring me another one, so we got to start using the 55-gallon drums that we've emptied already and start filling them, because we still have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday left to go. All right, guys, back over the Pilot, getting my evening coffee and editing this video. We went and had dinner at the Roadhouse after we closed up, and everything was really, really good. We're kind of craving some of them rattlesnake bites. But I did want to talk to you guys about the motorcycle for a minute and explain what happened. So we're going to talk for a moment. And if you're not interested in the story, then you guys just have a good night and keep those engines running. But if you want to hear it, stick around. Okay, so I know when I was recording on Thursday, we went over to the Harley Davidson dealership because they were putting on the big dinner for everybody. Well, when dinner was done, we decided to walk around and look at the motorcycles. I say we, it was Katie, Mike, and I. And we're looking around all the motorcycles. As you guys know, I've been actively looking for a Road Glide for about 18 months now. Still haven't found the right bike for the right deal, and I was being very picky, and I know that. It's been challenging to find. In fact, last year when the Laconia rally was finished, Katie and I rode up to the Harley dealer there in Meredith with the intention of buying a Road Glide ST. I really like the ST series because of the higher ride height, the blacked out engine, the 117 motor. It had the painted inner fairing. There was just a lot of stuff about the ST that I liked. And I really wanted something that would be a good platform to build a performance bagger out of. Well, anyway, the Sunday after the rally, I thought, well, this is a good time to go up there because if they got a bunch of bikes left over in inventory, the rally's over, maybe I can get a good deal. So when Katie and I got to the dealership, we found that they had plenty of STs left. Now, the MSRP on the 2023 Harley Davidson Road Glide ST was like $27,900. But that dealership had so many fees and other stuff put on there that out the door was like $38,000. And I'm sorry, but $10,000 worth of add-on fees, it's highway robbery, and there was no way I was going to pay it. I told them, look, I said, if you'll sell to me for MSRP, I get if there's a couple $100 here for dealer fees or something, I'll buy the bike, but I'm not paying $10,000 more than the motorcycle is worth. to have a motorcycle. It's just ludicrous. And if any of you out there are doing that, stop doing it. That's why they're getting away with it, because you keep paying the money like dumbasses, all right? But anyway, I digress. So anyway, Laconia Harley Davidson absolutely refused to come down on their price, even 1 penny. So I walked out. I didn't want the bike that bad. I've been actively looking, and I've talked to a lot of people. Here's the problem. Now that the 2024 models have come out, it's harder to find a 2023 model. I really wanted a new bike because I didn't want one that was used and abused, and I wanted something that was a good testing platform, something that I could add love jugs to in bone stock form, get head temperatures and measurements, add Amsoil to it, get measurements of temperatures, change the exhaust in every step of the way, show the actual improvements using scientific testing, not just somebody says it's great. I wanted to be able to prove it to you. The reason I wanted the 2023 specifically is because, one, you can find them new, and I definitely wanted a Milwaukee 8 platform because we've already got the Street King for the twin cam platform, and I've done so much testing on that, and we've proven over and over and over again that they work. But there are a couple rumors out there on the internet that love jugs don't work on a Milwaukee 8, which I'll tell you right now is absolute BS. But I have no proof to show you that, only my customers that I've done this for over and over again, and they all rave about it. But there's 2 or 3 videos on the internet that say they just don't work on a Milwaukee 8. Well, just so you know, a Milwaukee 8 is still an air-cooled engine, and throwing air at an air-cooled engine has to cool it down. There's no way it can't. It's physically impossible for it not to run cooler with airflow than it would without airflow, right? Anyway, let's circle back around to buying the bike. I looked high and low, and I couldn't find the right bike. I found some that were decent price, but they had a lot of miles on them. They already had cams in them. They already had stuff done to them, and I didn't want that. I didn't want a bike that was built. I wanted to start from scratch, from a bone stock platform, and work my way up. All right, so back to the dealership that night. We're walking through the floor. There was one 2023 ST on the floor. It was used, not new. I was hoping for like a leftover 22 or 23 someplace that was still brand new, but it was impossible to find. This 23 only had 1,089 miles on it. It was new enough. It did have some Reinhardt slip-ons, and it had a set of KST 3-piece adjustable bars on it. Now, they had it priced a little bit higher than what the MSRP was back in 2023. And I wasn't fond of that, but I talked with the sales rep, and we negotiated a price that I was comfortable with. And that price was $27,900 out the door. That's with all dealership fees, everything in there. And that's what a new one would have cost. It's only 1,000 miles. It was new enough, close enough. I thought I finally found the perfect bike. So we make the deal. I shake the salesman's hand, and then I asked him, well, what are the interest rates like with Harley? And he says, they're really not that great. On a used bike, you're gonna get somewhere between 9 and 13%. And I wasn't willing to do that. So I said, tell you what, in the morning, I will call my credit union and see if I can get a better interest rate on it. And we'll go from there. And if I don't like either interest rate, then we'll just buy the thing outright and not worry about financing it at all. He said, okay. So I offered to leave a deposit on it to make it a done deal. He was excited, I was excited, but then we realized all this time had gone by, the dealership was closed. Everybody had gone home except for him and us. So he couldn't accept my deposit because he had no place to put it, no place to log it, no computers were turned on. He would have literally had to have taken my cash home with him, which is most likely against company policy, and he just wasn't comfortable with it. But either way, we agreed on the deal. We shook hands. We said, all right, we'll take care of it tomorrow. Before we left, I said, do me a favor though, before we walk out of here, go get a sold sign, put a sold sign on this bike, put my name on it. And he did, and that's what you guys saw in the video. That's where that video left off. So the next morning, I get up early and I call my credit union. 7 o'clock in the morning here, which is 9 o'clock East Coast time. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I got a call center. The call center transferred me to my branch and sent me to the loan officer at that branch. But unfortunately, all I got was a voicemail. So I left a voicemail, and then we got to opening up for the day and so on and so forth. Well, about 2.5 hours later, I hadn't heard back from anybody yet. So I called again, and the call center transferred me to the same lady. And again, I got a voicemail. I left another message, said, please call me back. I'm literally at the dealership trying to make this deal happen, and I need you guys to let me know. And again, I still never heard back. A few hours later, I call the call center again. All this time, we're getting our butts kicked. This was the busy day. This was Friday morning. It was the busiest day we'd had, and we were just absolutely swamped. So after another couple of hours and not hearing back from the bank, Katie called the call center, and she explained to people that we're literally waiting on them to make this happen. Now, my bank didn't know I was there working. For all they know, I was sitting in the dealership trying to close the deal, and we weren't getting an answer. So the call center then tried calling multiple people and not accepting voicemail, just trying to get everybody sending out emails. Still couldn't get a hold of anybody. Well, by this time, I started to think, well, maybe this is just a sign that we're not supposed to finance this motorcycle. Katie and I talked about it. I said, I think we should just buy it outright and not finance it at all. So we agreed that that's what we were going to do. I said, all right, do me a favor. I'm going to go load some bikes on the lift, call Brian, ask them how they want payment. Do they want credit card, which I'm sure they charge fees? Do they want a check that they can hold for a couple days? When the check clears and they can release the bike to me? I mean, we're here for the rally. I don't need it right now. I can wait a couple days. Or do they just want to do like a bank transfer or something? So she calls the salesman, and she's talking to him, and I saw this disgusted look on her face. And then I heard her say, I'm going to let you talk to Adam. So she handed me the phone, and the sales rep said, hey, I got to call you right back. I'm like, okay. So hung up on me. 2 minutes later, he was in front of me at our booth. He rode his little electric bicycle up there, and he was extremely apologetic and told me that the bike got sold this morning to somebody else. And you know what? I was kind of devastated for a moment. Now, you guys know I don't let stuff bother me. You've seen me in all kinds of adverse situations. I just let it roll off my back. But because I allowed myself to get really excited about this, it hurt. I mean, it really hurt inside. And I was pretty pissed at first. And apparently what had happened is because he didn't take that deposit and he didn't put it into the system, somebody else had looked at the motorcycle, different salesmen. They saw the sold sign, but they wouldn't go check in the system, and there was nothing there on it. There was no deposit, no nothing. So they assumed it was somebody that said, okay, I'm going to buy it, but then just never came back. And unfortunately, they didn't make a phone call to verify that. If they would have just went to the other sales guy and said, hey, does this guy still want this bike? He could have called me. I could have told him what was going on. We could have been there. But somehow that didn't happen, and the motorcycle got sold to someone else. Nothing I could do about it. But we were at work, and it was an extremely busy day, and I had stuff to do. So I was upset, but I really couldn't focus on it. I had to get back to work. So the salesman went away. We handled our business. We went out to dinner. Everything was fine. But when I went to bed that night, laying there in silence after uploading the video and doing all the editing and everything, it really started to eat at me. I was way more upset about it than I really cared that I was upset. I was actually upset with myself that I allowed it to bother myself so much. Because you guys know that I pretty much keep my cool most of the time. And I did keep my cool, but inside it was really bothering me. And then I also realized that I had already put in the video about the bike. I mean, it was just a hint, but you guys picked up on that. You picked up on it quickly. By that time that I realized that bike was sold and it wasn't going to be mine, that video already had like 12,000 views. The comments were like 80 comments at the time. And 76 of those comments were pretty much congratulations on the new bike. We can't wait to see it. Tell us more about the bike, so on, so forth. And I explained to the guys at the dealership, I was like, how do I move forward from this? How do I go back and tell all these people that are watching this channel, hundreds of thousands of views during the Sturgis Rally, that you guys sold the bike that I bought because of a clerical error? Anyways, there were meetings with managers and sales guys and stuff like that and everything, and like how this could happen. And you know, to me it was unacceptable because I was the one that was upset. You know, the other guy got a bike, the sales manager made a sale, but I was kind of crushed for a moment. So anyway, they promised that they'd keep a lookout and find another bike for me. They said, you know, during the rally, a lot of bikes are going to come in on trade, and maybe we'll find something else or whatnot. And I just didn't really have a whole lot of faith that that was actually going to happen. All right, so let's backtrack for a minute. The reasons I wanted a 2023 is this right here. Even though it's growing on me, I'm not real fond of this headlight in the new Road Glide. Also wasn't sure how I felt about the infotainment system in the new Road Glide. It's pretty high tech and I'm a pretty low tech guy. But the reasons I wanted the ST, the 23 ST, was I like the body style of the 23. But in the ST model, you had the taller suspension, you had the 117 engine, you could get it blacked out. There was a bunch of little things that you could only get on the ST as a factory option. Well, yesterday, I was walking through the parking lot trying to find one of our customers. And down at the end of the parking lot, right out front of Quad Lock actually, I saw a gray Road Glide that had a totally different headlight in it. The, was it Cali Customs Baja headlights? I forget how they say them. I know the guys that run the company. They set up with us in Daytona, and in fact I think they're over here at the Harley dealer. Really great guys, and I really like their product. And I spoke to them last fall about if I actually finally get a Road Glide that I'm looking for, if they'd want to work with the channel and, you know, work with me on a headlight system, and they agreed to. Well, I saw that bike that had one of their systems in it, and it totally changes the look of this fairing, and it actually makes it look pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, I talked to the guy that owned the bike, asked him about it, and then I looked at the bike and I realized the 2024's got the 117 engine that I wanted in that 2023. You got a choice of them being blacked out or chrome. The price was higher though. I guess I asked him how much he paid. He said it was like $34,000. So when I got to thinking, it's like, you know what, realistically, them finding the dream bike that I've been looking for a year and a half that was the right price with extremely low miles, if not a brand new leftover, was unlikely. And it was at that moment that I realized that just possibly a 2024 could be a good option. There's a solution for the ugly headlight. It had the 117 motor that I wanted. Other than that, it's a really good looking motorcycle. I would lose the nicer wheel package that the 2023 had. I don't really care for the wheels on this much at all. And I lose the inner painted fairing. But you know what? I'm friends with Paul at the Fairing Exchange, and I'm sure he can fix that for me. Right about then, I needed to go over to the Harley Davidson dealership to pick up some inner tubes for Mike because he'd run out. And I called the parts department. We made a deal to buy some in bulk and get a little bit of a discount on them. So I went over there to pay for it. Well, there were so many of them that it wasn't going to be easy for me to get them back on the bicycle that I had rode over there. So Thomas had agreed to put them in his little side-by-side and take them down to Mike for me. Thomas agreed to deliver those inner tubes for me. I really didn't have to get right straight back over to our site. So instead of getting back on the bike, I walked back into the sales tent, curious to see what their prices were on a new one. So I got looking around and they had prices in that $34,000 range, 35. Some of them had accessories, some of them didn't, right? I'm like, yeah, that's just, don't want to do that much. You know, I had my mind set on that 27,000, 27,900, right there in that area. So I got to talking with the sales rep again, the same sales rep that I worked with in the first one. And because they all felt really bad about what happened and they wanted to make it right, they knew I was really, really upset. And some of them were actually embarrassed that the whole situation happened, and they just, it's not the way they wanted it to happen. It's not the way I wanted it to happen. So we made an agreement, and they said that basically I could pick any new base model bike or road glide, any new base model road glide there, as long as there are no accessories on it, just a base model. And they would sell it to me for that $27,900 to make up for what had happened. And so now I'm thinking, now I'm getting a 24 for the same price as the used 23. Granted, a couple accessories that I lost in that deal, but they're things that I can take care of myself. Then it was just a matter of what color I wanted. And they've got a white one, and the ST was white. They've got the gray. I don't remember the actual color. To me, it's like a battleship, but it's a little bit different shade of the previous year gray. There were some that had different accessories, different pinstripes, so on and so forth, and those all had a higher price point. So this one has some extra detail to it. If you look at the seat, it's a factory seat, but it's been recovered, some extra padding put in it. It's got the Road Glide embossed in it, Harley Davidson embossed in the back. They had a pinstriper, do some little detail work, put the Road Glide logo on it, a little Harley logo up here, a couple red accents around the floorboards and whatnot. Maybe in some better light we'll get you a better view of it. So this one was $1,000 more. So then I had to make a decision of base model or get a couple extra upgrades for $1,000 more. Well, I really like the way this one looked, mostly because of the number 1 on the tank instead of the regular Harley logo. So yeah, I decided on this one. That's how we ended up with the 24 instead of the 23. And so far, I love it, to be honest. If you look, there's a different windshield on it right now than there was in the video earlier. Paul gave me this one. I guess he took it off of a customer's motorcycle when he installed a Clockworks. And he just had it laying around, and it's not something he's gonna sell. So he gave it to me. And although I don't like the way it looks on there, the stock windshield on this was terrible for somebody my height. It's probably great for somebody who can actually sit behind the fairing. But last night, for the first time riding it, we drove it over to dinner. We went to Chili's. I got on the interstate for 2 exits, and so much wind was hitting me in the face. In fact, I said that it felt like it was taking wind off of I-94 up North Dakota and funneling it right to me somehow. I don't know how. It was awful. It really was. I had this one on there. We went up to dinner tonight and back, and it's much better. I don't like the look, but the one that I want isn't available at the moment, and it'll look much better once I get it on there. Maybe in tomorrow's video, we'll talk a little bit more about what my plans are for this bike, because it is going to bring a certain level of content to this channel that we haven't seen before. And it's just because it's what I want to do, not because I want to create content. I want to build a bike that I want. I just want to bring you guys along with us. But we'll touch on that more in the future. But for right now, I really have to give a shout out to Black Hills Harley Davidson. I got to thank them for correcting this and really coming through when I almost felt hopeless for a minute. You know, mistakes happen, and I completely understand how it happened. I wasn't happy about it, but I get it. Crap like that happens sometimes. But they came to the plate and they fixed it. You got to respect that. So thank you, Black Hills. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, everybody involved. Thank you, Brian. I didn't even meet half the people involved in it. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that was able to make this happen. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time I see you, keep those engines running.